first in high definition from the station on your side. This is WAVY News 10.
It's election day. You have 2 more hours to cast your vote.
And you can decide whether to continue with a party divide in the state capitol or give Republicans absolute power with a new Senate majority. One of the big races is in the 6th district between Democratic incumbent Ralph Northam and Republican Ben Loyola Jr. Then on your side's Andy Fox, live in Norfolk now, where voters are making their choice. What's the latest, Andy?
Well, you know, the voter turnout this year is not supposed to be great because it's considered an off-election year, but we're here at Ocean View Elementary School, and there's only really one contested race on the entire ballot, and that's the state Senate race between Ben Loyola and the incumbent Ralph Northam. But they've already received 12% voter turnout here. Now, you might think that's low, but this is supposed to be a low voter turnout. And there's only one thing on the ballot, and they're coming out for the Senate race because if the Republicans pick up a net gain of 2 seats in the state Senate, they will effectively control all chambers of state government for only the 2nd time since Reconstruction. We spoke with the election officer earlier to find out exactly what's been going on here today.
Well, I do feel that we've had a very good flow of people coming in today, and I think it's pretty good, and people are much more aware of the election process, and they are participating.
By our own calculation, 12% voter turnout already, and it's only 4:30 when we're interviewing you. That's pretty good.
I think that's real good, especially for a ballot that only has a few races on it. I think that's very good.
But one of them is state Senate, which is supposed to be a very competitive one, and Republicans are trying to take over the Senate. Do you think that spurred interest in this precinct?
I don't think so. I just think that individuals are more aware of the voting process and how we can really make a difference. And if we look at kind of some of the things that have been going on within the last few months in the country, people feel that they do have a voice now. And I think people are feeling a lot better about having a voice in what's happening in the country. And I think this is reflective of it.
There's a lot of anger in the country and a lot of protests. That's what you're alluding to. Is that what you see?
Well, I don't say it's anger. I think it's people are becoming more aware of what's going on. And by people speaking up, and they are aware of the different things and are reading papers more, looking at the internet more, speaking in communities more. So I don't think it's the anger. I think it's the fact that we realize that we have the right to vote without having to worry about anything, and that's what's inspiring a lot of people coming out of all ages.
This is considered to be an off-election year, but I always find that troubling because every seat in the state Senate is up and every seat in the House of Delegates is up. So it's really not an off-election year when you think about it in Virginia.
I never think it's an off-election year because I truly feel that politics are local and you need to really start locally. I mean, you've got the top, but you've got us right here in the community. So I've never considered any election off either.
And we want to thank Paulette Benson, the election official here. That's a very unusual interview. We appreciate her talking to us. You usually don't get those election officials to talk about that, to talk about the trends, and to talk about why people might be coming out. The other big race, guys, is on the peninsula. It is the 1st District Senate race, and it's John Miller against Mickey Chauhan, and that is a big one. That is, after all is said and done, will have been a $2 million Senate seat. So the Republican Party and the Democratic Party putting up a lot of money to try to control the Senate, and it's going to be a long night. 10 on your side there every step of the way. Guys, we'll have another update coming up for you on WAVY News 10 at 5:30. Guys, back to you.
All right, Andy Fox live in Norfolk for us. Thank you. Now, with less than 2 hours left to vote, we're on your side with complete coverage of Decision 2011 on WAVY.com.
You will see the special section at the top of the home page. Once the polls close and the votes are counted, you'll find the results on your mobile device, online and on air on WAVY News 10 at 11.
Protesters will not occupy Virginia Beach unless the city changes its mind. The city rejected the group's application to establish campgrounds at one of 3 locations. 10 on your side's Melanie Woodrow spoke with a member of the group. Melanie, they're not giving up.
Not yet, Nicole. Dozens of members are getting together tonight at 6:30 to discuss options, including the possibility of setting up camp without the proper permits, even if it means getting arrested.
We are the 99%.
Tents, signs, and protesters. This is Occupy Norfolk, and it's an image you will not likely see in Virginia Beach.
Banks got bailed out. We got sold out.
That
You know, and many of us have friends over there and have, but Virginia Beach is its own city, separate and distinct.
Tom Palumbo is not ruling out the idea of combining Occupy Virginia Beach with Occupy Norfolk, but it's clear
Say what?
it's low on the list when it comes to options.
One more time.
This is our hometown, so we'd like to work with them to accommodate it.
Local protests have spun off of the nationwide Occupy Wall Street campaign. Palumbo and other Virginia Beach protesters wanted to set up shop, but the city denied the group's application at Town Center, Mount Trashmore, and the oceanfront.
Disappointed. We're really looking to work with the city to have a presence, and we haven't given up on that yet.
In a letter obtained by 10 on Your Side, the city said it would authorize a permit that allows the group to have amplified sound between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. Also, the group is invited to exercise its First Amendment rights on public property, meaning members can march and demonstrate on any city sidewalk at any time of day without a permit. One possible concern is safety, something Palumbo says is a non-issue with this group.
One of the greatest things about our movement is its nonviolence.
Without permission for tents or the city's cooperation, the group is limited in its options.
Now, when it comes to making a statement, if it means sitting down and getting arrested because the First Amendment ended at 5 o'clock, 11 o'clock, there may be some so inclined to do that.
The group's meeting is open to the public tonight at 6:30. It's being held at Skate High. That's an indoor skate park on McComas Way in Virginia Beach. Melanie Woodrow, 10 on Your Side.
Now, police are connecting details in a shooting investigation. Virginia Beach emergency crews got the call at about 3:30 for a shooting. They picked up an 18-year-old victim on Ashaway Road. That's off Lynnhaven Parkway. Investigators say the victim and two other people were trying to get to his house when emergency crews got there. Now, police have no suspect information or a motive in that shooting. 10 on Your Side, a viewer used Reported at WAVY.com to send in this video after an accident in Newport News. A police spokesperson says the driver of this car, if you can see it there, made a turn off Warwick Boulevard when she hit another vehicle. The Saturn overturned. Crews got the driver out of the car, then took her to the hospital. Two other people in the other vehicle were treated for their injuries at the scene. It's a pretty long shot, so it's hard to determine which car's which. Police are still investigating.
10 on Your Side is tracking the tropics and Tropical Storm Sean. The storm developed between Bermuda and the Bahamas, but it's not a threat to land or us. We're in the home stretch of hurricane season. It ends November 30th. Closer to home, a cold front is moving in. Chief Meteorologist Don Slater is in the Super Doppler 10 Weather Center with details. Don, it's been so nice and warm.
Yeah, it has. Temperatures today were all over the place in terms of the 60s, near 70 degrees into the areas, some inland areas. And it's going to be even warmer for tomorrow. We're looking real good for tomorrow, but we do have a change coming up. Here's where our highs were for the day. They're not quite complete yet, but basically into the 60s to around the 70-degree mark into the area. Current temperature readings throughout the area into the upper 50s. So once that sun gets low on the horizon, it starts cooling on down fast, and it'll really cool on down once we get into late Thursday as a cool front should drop on through the area. Now, it's 58 into our area. Look out towards Chicago and Omaha. That's where the cold air is, and that's where it's going to be moving on in from. You can see it again right on into here. There's even some snow toward Lincoln and Omaha. There's where the cold front is, and here's where it's going to be. Again, it pops on through the area during the day on Thursday. It'll really start to cool things down for Thursday, and especially cool Friday. We'll show you that coming up with our forecast in a few minutes.
And a mess in Dare County this weekend. 6,000 gallons of wastewater spilled after a line break. Officials say untreated gray water was contained in a ditch along Bayview Drive. That ditch, well, it drains into Stumpy Point Bay in the Pasquotank River Basin. A sewage truck took the spill water to the wastewater plant for treatment, and crews made repairs to the collection system and treated the spill area.
There's controversy here on Colley Avenue, all because of this one word I'm covering up. We'll talk to the woman behind this flyer coming up.
Penn State's legendary football coach was expected to answer questions about the campus child sex abuse scandal. Why that news conference didn't happen, and reaction to reports that Joe Paterno's job is coming to an end.
And you know the drill. You've heard it before. Tomorrow across the nation, the emergency alert system will be put to the test. How the first of its kind test could help you.
You're watching WAVY News 10 at 5 with Tom Shad, Nicole Ribas, and Super Doppler 10 Chief Meteorologist Don Slater.
They blast from the speakers of your TV those eerie tones preceding local warnings, usually about the weather. Well, now FEMA is going nationwide to test the emergency alert system. It's set for 2 p.m. tomorrow. Then on your sides, Ava Hurdle is here now with this preview. Ava?
Tom, after 9/11, emergency management officials said the U.S. could have used a nationwide alert. Now we'll see if that system is ready. Remember, this is only a test. The emergency alert system will interrupt regularly scheduled television, radio, cable, and satellite shows during the test. FEMA's administrator is Craig Fugate.
Because of the system design, not all of you will see the crawl that says this is a test. It will say this is an emergency alert, but we want you to understand this is a test.
Locally, such tests are done routinely by the National Weather Service in Wakefield. But meteorologist in charge Jeffrey Orock says this one encompasses the entire nation.
While the infrastructure has always been in place and we always test the system at a local level with our monthly test, we've never really done a national test that hits all circuits nationwide at one time.
The media is helping get the word out.
On November 9th at 2 p.m., WAVY News 10 will take part in a nationwide test of the emergency alert system.
When you see the test, don't worry, it's only a test.
This is just making sure we've got the mechanism in place and that we do a national alert. We can get everybody notified very, very quickly and put everybody on the same page of what's going on and what do people need to be doing. So it's a great test to test that on the national scale.
And that way, if needed, improvements can be made.
Now, this test is being conducted by FEMA, the Federal Communications Commission, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. I'm Ava Hurdle, 10 on your side.
We have some breaking political news. Republican presidential candidate Herman Cain is addressing sexual harassment accusations against him right now.
We'll take you to Phoenix, Arizona. Let's listen in.
I didn't. I tried to remember if I remembered that name, and I didn't. The charges and the accusations I absolutely reject. They simply didn't happen. They simply did not happen. You know, for decades, the American people have wanted a businessman in the White House and not just another politician. Because for decades, all that the politicians have been doing is just kicking the can down the road, trim a little bit here, trim a little bit there, when America's biggest problems simply got worse. Well, a businessman by the name of Herman Cain stepped forward. Here I am. But I know from the American people that I have talked with and I have spoken with over the past several months, we are not going to allow Washington.
Republican Herman Cain addressing accusations of sexual harassment brought yesterday by a woman who came forward. He said there are absolutely no basis for truth or fact in those accusations.
She's the fourth woman to allege these allegations, and he says he never acted inappropriately, and he says it simply did not happen. Legendary Penn State football coach Joe Paterno is not implicated in the child sex abuse scandal, but it may cost him his career. Reaction to reports he may be on the way out. Joe Paterno's support among the Penn State Board of Trustees is reportedly eroding.
And some say that child sex abuse scandal involving a former assistant is threatening to end Paterno's coaching career. WAVY Sports Director Bruce Rader is here now with these latest developments, and they're a bombshell, Bruce.
Well, Tom, I think you are absolutely right. It does appear that Joe Paterno's days as coach at Penn State are numbered. The 84-year-old Paterno was reportedly ready to take questions today about the scandal that has shocked the university community, but a news conference slated for this afternoon that may have shed more light on the situation was abruptly canceled. Penn State football coach Joe Paterno heading to an afternoon practice hours after his weekly news conference was canceled, just minutes before it was to begin.
Due to the ongoing legal circumstances surrendered around the recent allegations and charges, we have determined that today's press conference cannot be held and will not be rescheduled.
That decision made by Penn State President Graham Spanier. Both he and Paterno face increasing scrutiny about their knowledge and actions prior to sex abuse charges being filed against former assistant coach Jerry Sandusky.
I'm not totally surprised, but I wonder when are they going to get in front of this, and I think it's turned into a public relations disaster.
Sandusky's accused of sexually abusing 8 boys over a 15-year period. The school's athletic director and vice president are both charged with lying to a grand jury investigating the matter. College football's winningest coach also testified, and while he doesn't face charges, there's criticism he didn't do enough to try to stop the alleged abuse.
I don't think he did anything legally wrong, but I mean, ethically and morally, I'm disappointed in him.
There have been editorial calls for Paterno and Spanier to step down, and the New York Times reports that discussions are underway about how to end the 84-year-old coach's tenure.
They've not asked him to step down?
Guys, no one has asked Joe to step down.
Penn State plays its final home game of the season Saturday against Nebraska. Now, Penn State has 2 more regular season road games and a likely bowl game following this weekend's home finale. Paterno's son Scott says his dad plans to not only coach in Saturday's game against Nebraska, but he wants to coach for the long haul. We'll see if it's Coach Paterno's choice to make. I'll have much more tonight at 6 o'clock on the Sports Wrap.
Would have been interesting to hear what he would have talked about today at the news conference.
Yeah.
We're not going to hear that.
Not now, at least.
Yeah.
Our story about Joe Paterno's future at Penn State generated dozens of comments on WAVY's Facebook page.
Wendy says, quote, blame the ones truly at fault. Don't make the one good man a scapegoat. Helena says, why wait for the season to be over? His last day should have been as soon as this came to light.
Thomas says it's really sad if they make him leave. Teresa says he knew about it, reported it, and did not follow up on the situation when nothing was done about it. He should be held accountable to some degree.
Okay, so what do you think? Look for this story on WAVY's Facebook page and post your comments.
Now, in high definition, your Super Dot for 10 forecast with Chief Meteorologist Don Slater.
Beautiful day for the area once again. We ended up with lots of sunshine. Temperatures warmed up just a tad for most of us. Along the coastline, though, is a little cooler. Here's a look at what's going on into the region right now. Skies are clear or mostly clear, and they'll remain that way overnight. We could see some patchy fog once again during the overnight hours. Now, remember back to Friday night. Now remember Friday night we had a storm system which dropped on through here. Once it got on offshore off Wilmington, Charleston, Myrtle Beach area, it really intensified. We had 45, 50-mile-an-hour winds during Friday evening, though it was still windy on Saturday, not as windy. Well, that storm intensified and slid right on down into here. But it was a storm that was more of a nor'easter. Had a lot of colder air wrapped into it. Well, as of late this afternoon, it became a tropical storm. Because it's over the tropics, got no more colder air into it and taking on tropical characteristics. So it's Tropical Storm Sean. And where's this thing going? More importantly, well, it's 50-mile-an-hour winds right now, and by Friday afternoon, there's where it is, moving past Bermuda with 50-mile-an-hour winds. It's not likely to affect us other than giving our coastline quite likely some swell rolling on in off of that thing. But again, even that's not going to be real big. Forecast models, they concur. This thing is going to stay well offshore, so it's not going to be a huge event for us, in fact, much of any event for us at all. What is more important is this cold front that's going to move through our area. Really, it'll come through in stages. We'll see a stage on Thursday morning, and then the bigger stage coming through on Thursday during the late afternoon or evening hours with some much cooler air. But for tonight, it's going to be chilly out overnight again. We'll see very light winds, generally out of the east, becoming more northerly. And we'll drop on down into the upper 30s, low 40s once again overnight. Could see some patchy fog. Here's where we are tomorrow at the noon hour. Lots of sunshine. And we start to see some cloud cover move in late in the day. And again, this is from that storm system offshore, but that storm system offshore stays offshore. One little pop of cooler air moves in. Our winds are northerly by 7 o'clock in the morning, but the really colder air moves on in later on in the day with 10 to 20-mile-an-hour winds and much cooler air. Here's what's going on right now. It's not bad out there, but once that sun starts getting below the horizon, temperatures are dropping on down through the 50s, still 61 in Chesapeake, 59 into Suffolk. So again, temperatures after topping off well into the 60s for today, and even a couple of readings near 70. We're going to see temperatures drop overnight, 43 with some patchy dense fog during the day tomorrow. It'll really warm up. Nice day, 71 degrees, 64 though on Thursday. Much cooler for Veterans Day Friday, and warming back up for the weekend and into next week.
Driving into danger. See how close storm chasers got to the weather.
And parents who don't make an effort to get their kids to school could be going to jail. Next at 5:30, which county is cracking down on truancy?
Africa's most active volcano is shooting fire, smoke, lava, and ash into the air. The volcano is in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Experts say the lava is not threatening nearby villages or wildlife. The volcano erupts about every 2 years. A storm system spawned several twisters Monday in Oklahoma. The National Weather Service issued tornado warnings for 17 counties across the state. A storm chaser got dangerously close to one of those tornadoes in Snyder. Look at that. You can see the storm passed within feet of the photographer's vehicle. That's scary. Storm chasers encountered this tornado in nearby Tipton. The twister crossed the road in front of them. There are reports of damage on a dairy farm. Heavy winds overturned another storm chaser vehicle, but no one was hurt.
Those storm chasers are awful lucky after seeing that video, that's for sure. The cost of giving thanks. We'll tell you how high the price of one popular pie ingredient is going, plus what you can expect the tab for the rest of your entire feast to be.
There's a big rock heading towards Earth tonight, still ahead at 5:30, when the giant asteroid will pass by our planet, and just how close will it get?
Three, four, five.
Thank you, help.
Hello, check, check, check.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Just in time for Thanksgiving, pecan prices are getting nutty. The reason? Extreme drought. Also a big demand in China. The nuts are used heavily during the Chinese New Year. Experts say a pound of pecans is expected to rise to $11 this year. All around the table, it's going to cost you more to feed your family for Thanksgiving. The Virginia Farm Bureau released the annual Thanksgiving survey of grocery stores. It will cost you an average of $48.03 to feed a group of 10, $4.46 more than last year. The survey menu includes turkey, dressing, sweet potatoes, rolls, peas, cranberries, and pumpkin pie. I'll leave the salad for somebody else. Stay with us. WAVY News 10 at 5:30 starts right now.